freedoms, and you want your family to pursue the American dream, your values are on the line. Make sure that you're registered and make your plans ahead to vote, whether at your polling place or by absentee. This election is critical. We're at a crossroads. Make sure you vote.
You're stuck at home and you're concerned about the world, and frankly, worried about your money. The market's in turmoil and your 401k is going down. Is this going to ruin your retirement? It doesn't have to. You don't have to sit by paralyzed like you did in 2008. You can take action now to help stop the losses and recover quicker. Each week, Raj Shah gives you practical tips on how to deal with times like this on Unlock Your Wealth. Sundays at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com.
Let's get an update on the roads this morning. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time and Paul Bodenloss.
Seeing some issues in the LaGrange area. LaGrange Road remains closed between Burlington and Ogden. That's closed because a car is stalled out on the tracks. Also, the CTA red lines are running with delays after problems near Fullerton. If you're on the Dan Ryan this morning heading inbound, that's heavy between 18th and Roosevelt. It's 20 minutes, 95th to downtown, while the Tri-State heading northbound, a little sluggish between the Reagan Memorial and the Eisenhower. That ramp to the outbound Eisenhower continues to be slow, as it is every day. Also, Roosevelt at the Dan Ryan, that exit ramp remains closed onto the Dan Ryan, and that's closed with construction until later on in December. That's traffic. I'm Paul Bodenloss on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our AM 560 Weather Center. A sunny day ahead, breezy, and a high of 61. Currently 39. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour radio show, Saturday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer. Brought to you by Pierson Financial Group.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And I've run a lot of campaigns, so I know about polling. I understand the importance, the value of polling. I also understand when a poll is without value. And that is one of these surveys that is being bandied about this morning, as it was over the weekend. The Wall Street Journal NBC poll, which finds Biden leading Trump in a national election. First of all, it's not a national election. It's a state-by-state election, as we're wont to remind people. So these national numbers mean very little. 53-39 is the blaring headline that Biden has opened up a 14-point lead compared with an 8-point advantage, same poll last month. The survey is infirm on two scores. One, the national election doesn't matter. I think the Real Clear Politics average in swing states, which is where the election will be decided, is within the margin of error.
Yeah, literally tied right now in Ohio, and Biden ahead by a few points in Pennsylvania. That's what they showed.
The other problem with this survey is it's registered voters. The only way you get anything accurate from a poll, particularly even though it's a snapshot in time, is if you're modeling the expected election day turnout properly. How can you be modeling it perfectly, properly when, what was the turnout of registered voters in 2016? 60%? What was it in 2012? About the same? It's not registered voters. You have to pre-qualify your polling universe by zeroing in on people who are likely to vote. I mean, this just has a wild margin of error, in addition to the fact that the national top-line number doesn't matter. What matters is what's happening in Pennsylvania and Ohio and Iowa and Minnesota and North Carolina and Arizona and Florida and so forth. So I just to share with your friends, as people run around saying it's over. The ironic thing about this poll is it's actually good news for Trump, because it's with the fervent support he has among his voters, it's more likely to depress Biden turnout than it is Trump turnout. In other words, oh, this race is over. Biden's up 14 points. I don't need to go out and vote. People listening to this show, vote religiously out of civic duty. That is not the case with everybody in the country. I think people have a wild misunderstanding about how committed a lot of Americans are to voting. They'll vote if they're really motivated to vote. And if they're not so motivated to vote because they don't like the two candidates, because there's other things going on in their life,
or the weather might be bad that day,
they're happy to not vote and it not make an impact on their life. So, this is why intensity matters and enthusiasm matters. And when you see people shut down Fifth Avenue as a tribute to President Trump during his convalescence with COVID-19, as happened in New York over the weekend, that says something about the intensity in addition to those who were lining the streets outside Walter Reed. For more on all this, we're pleased to be joined by Katrina Pearson. She is the senior advisor for the Trump campaign. Katrina, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So let's start with what the campaign is doing. It's not just, of course, President Trump and the First Lady, but it's also senior staff in the White House like Hope Hicks, senior staff on the campaign like campaign manager Bill Steppen. So how is the campaign adjusting so that it can be at full operation between now and whenever people recover?
Yeah, thank you for the question. It's a great one, considering that this is the Trump campaign. So nothing really stops the Trump campaign. We are continuing on with events. The Vice President will be holding rallies in the President's place. Bill Steppen will be working from home. Those who have been infected will be quarantined, and the rest of us will be back out on the trail. Just today, there's a Women for Trump bus tour going on in Ohio. There'll be one starting in Pennsylvania this week with Laura Trump and some others. And, it took us about 24 hours to transition just to make sure everyone was okay before they were deployed. And we're going to move full speed ahead.
So how often do you guys get tested, and have you been tested?
Yes, I've been tested. I was actually tested negative twice this last week, one on Tuesday, one on Saturday. So those of us who are around the president get tested quite often. So we do make sure that we are testing. We are doing temperature checks every day in the office. We are doing daily check-ins. If we're going into the office, checking the boxes on whether or not we've had symptoms. So we're very diligent about the testing, and we do social distance at our meetings and at the events.
Has anybody other than President Trump been hospitalized to date?
Not that I'm aware of.
I wanted to talk a little bit of the politics. Axios reporting, an anonymous Republican operative, of course. The bottom is falling out everywhere, said this GOP operative, privy to data from swing states, according to Axios, saying the combination of the debate performance plus, as Axios describes it, a mask-disdaining president gets coronavirus on the eve of an election. Things look dire for Republicans right now, not just at the presidential level, but also in the Senate, suggests this Axios report citing an unnamed Republican insider. How do you respond to that? Where do you say things are, both with the president as well as with the congressional races?
Yeah, I think that it's an interesting coincidence 30 days out from our election. The president has definitely continued to work. He's been putting out the videos because he, as he always does, he wants to communicate directly to the people. He is very strong. You can hear it in his voice. He's up walking around. And with regards to the swing states, we just don't buy it. This is just a different version of 2016 where they have the manipulated polls and the negative commentary, and it's just simply not going to work. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of people who continue to support this president at these little events with surrogates, not even a main principal, but the bus tour comes to their town. They show up to show their support for the president. The excitement and the enthusiasm is unlike we've seen, even including 2016. Now we have the boat parades and all of the flotillas. So I just don't buy the commentary, because it's one of those things that you see something on TV or you hear something in the news, but then you go out into the real world and you experience something completely different. And that's what we experience on the campaign trail. And
is the campaign still committed to and expecting those next two debates, October 15th and the 22nd, to happen?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The American people have the right to hear unfiltered from both candidates to make their case. Absolutely.
What do you want to say to members on the left who were out of their mind that President Trump took a joyride around Walter Reed Hospital just to thank his supporters yesterday and that he put the Secret Service agents' lives at risk?
Well, they say masks work. So if that's the case, then everything should be fine. And, it's just unfortunate that they look at everything this president does and tries to find the worst case scenario, really in everything. The president has always been a man of the people. He has always wanted to make sure that this country has faith and confidence in him. And that's what this was yesterday. Nobody wanted to hear the media talk about doom and gloom and suspect and draw on what the president might be going through. He wanted to show the American people he's doing well. He's not incapacitated. He's still fighting. He's still working. And the American people needed to see that for themselves.
What can we expect from the vice president on Wednesday evening's debate? What's the approach against Kamala Harris?
I'm really excited about the vice presidential debate because he has an opponent, including Joe Biden with his 47 record year failure. But he also has Kamala Harris, who really doesn't add much to the vice presidential ticket. Vice president has a phenomenal record to go from. The accomplishments of the administration are second to none. And really, he can talk about all of the damage that has been undone by the Trump administration. The Democrat policies have been utter failures across the board, and the vice president can make the case.
She is Katrina Pearson, senior advisor for the Trump campaign. Katrina, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Anytime.
Thanks. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The Lou Dobbs Financial Report is brought to you by Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Walmart pulling out of the UK grocery business. Mexican workers are pouring cash south of the border. Instagram turning 10 this week. Those stories next.
Look, it's a great question. And maybe the typical family saves $500 a month switching to MediShare. But does it work? That's what Catherine was wondering when her family of 5 made the switch, and then she was diagnosed with an advanced cancer.
Just the surgeon's bill was $100,000. The first call that I made to MediShare, I was prayed with and prayed for, and there were just no problems at all. I mean, we just have not had any problems.
So her need was met. And MediShare is a community of Christians who've now shared more than $4 billion of each other's healthcare bills. So many people are joining now wondering, why didn't we do this sooner? Catherine says her family has saved so much over the years.
The savings have been thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
So yes, it works. Find out how much you can save. It's easy. You can call now and get a price within 2 minutes. Here's the number, 855-25-SHARE. That's 855-25-SHARE. 855-25-SHARE.
Well, its grocery business here in America has been a highlight of its growth throughout 2020. Walmart is about to exit the business in the United Kingdom. It's selling a majority stake in its grocery outlets. Discount chains like Aldi have been siphoning off business from Walmart's British operations. Mexican workers here in the United States are continuing to send huge sums of money, $4 billion almost in August alone, south of the border during the China virus pandemic. Payments from Mexican workers are draining cash out of our country and back into Mexico. 10 years ago tomorrow, a new photo-sharing app called Instagram was launched. Now, a decade later, more than 1 billion people use the app to build awareness and to share